Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a playoff edition of Morning Tailgate. Afternoon, kind of before the game start. I am Crispy Bacon here with the Prime Goose, Tim. How you doing this afternoon or evening?
I'm doing good. It's nice to see the playoffs. I think we were just here. What was it? It feels like it was yesterday. We were just starting the season off, and next thing I know, we're smack dab into the first week of the playoffs.
Yeah, it seems like the season started quickly and finished quickly. Uh, Super Bowl's almost here, but we have to get to the playoffs. Through the playoffs, I should say. James was here. I think he's having difficulty with his audio, but he should be back here in a little bit. But the week leading up to today was very eventful. We had some coaches that were let go and some coaches that were surprises. One was Pete Carroll in Seattle. What do you think of him stepping down as Seahawks coach?
I've I think I broke that to I think I broke that to us in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It threw me for a loop. It felt like because I get a lot of my stuff early because being here, all the stuff gets posted on American sports apps, and I seem to get them quick, and I post them as quick as I can. And when I saw Pete Carroll,
Yeah.
um, it shocked me. I was lucky enough to meet Pete when he was with the Jets. I met
cool.
him. I met him during a Packer Jets game back in I want to say 98, right before he took the Seattle job, or not the Seattle job, but the USC job. Um,
Yeah.
this was way back when Boomer Esiason was still a quarterback, and he was the quarterback with the Jets, and I think
Oh,
that was the
wow.
time that what was it? Funny thing is, I think he took the job. Was that the job he took that Bill Belichick had for like one day and then retired and left? Um,
With the Jets, yeah.
yeah, which is funny because it will bring that name up later on in this episode. But um, great guy, yeah, great coach, great guy, great head and shoulders. Probably a guy I'd love to play for. It came out of nowhere for me. To see the outpouring of love from his former players was nice to see. It was amazing to see. He's not leaving, but he's taking a consultant role, which to me I think is good too. That means you don't have to worry about playing him down the road somewhere else. But yeah, Pete Carroll was one of a kind, especially in the NFC West.
James, what do you think of Carroll stepping down?
You can hear it.
I think we can hear you. It's still kind of choppy.
So you guys we're talking about Pete Carroll and Belichick. Everything ends, and it just feels that way with these two. I think Seattle locker room they probably got sick of messages probably wasn't getting through to the young guys. That's all I can think of with Seattle. And I felt like last year, if they didn't make the playoffs, this would have happened anyway. But they just needed a new voice there. Maybe Dan Quinn. And again, it was talked about Belichick going in, was it after that Colt game in Germany? So, you knew it was eventually going to happen. But I'm wondering though, both will be a head coach somewhere else next year. Or I know Carroll's going to do an advisor role, but you figure with all these spots open, maybe of him will go coach somewhere else. Both 72. No, not Belichick. Saban 72. Maybe Pete Carroll's gonna feel something again to coach, and he'll do it. Belichick, I really don't know what's gonna happen. There's a last spot at Washington open, but I'm not sure if he wants to take on all that. But man, they had great runs to Belichick. Anything about it? It was Super Bowls. Carroll had one, Jay had two. Pete Carroll took shots from really nothing to something. It almost happened really right away when you think about it. Marshall Lynch and everything else that happened. Then in Seattle, and Belichick was just great. We always remember getting schedules. The only thing that holds is kind of legacy a little back there, but winning all Super Bowls kind of takes that away. But compared to the coaches for sticking around as long as they did, in a time that coaches don't stick around too long nowadays.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes with Seattle, which coach they're gonna bring in. Now you mentioned Dan Quinn from the Cowboys, possibly returning back to Seattle, although he does have connections with the Falcons as well. I don't see him going there. Most likely going to be Seattle, but it's going to be ultimately what Pete Carroll wants to do, even though he's not the coach, but he is going to pick his successor. Tim, who do you think is going to be, the next coach of Seattle?
I think Quinn is a good choice. He's already got a foot in the door there. I would have said the Washington head coach, the University of Washington head coach, but we all know he ended up taking the place of Saban in Alabama. You kind of bring in a built-in fan base. I think Quinn wouldn't have been I think Quinn's not a bad idea.
I don't think so either. And then in the NFL, we got the news, and we kind of figured it would happen, but we kind of had to see it to believe it. Was Bill Belichick stepping down as, well, pretty much everything, coach, GM of the Patriots. So we'll go to Tim on this. What do you think of him stepping down?
I think we kind of had, like, the writing has been on the wall, and I saw some reports that Kraft had made up his mind after the Frankfurt game. But again, that's seeing is believing at that point. I was shocked. I'm more happy being a Colts fan and having such a rivalry with the Patriots. Personally, for me, I thought that was a prayer that should have been answered 10 years ago for me, but because Manning and the Colts would have won more Super Bowls than going to two. I'm happy. I'm absolutely happy that Gerard Mayo got the job. He's liked it. He's liked in New England. I thought it was quick. Not that I have a problem with Mayo. Mayo's been a Belichick guy from day one. I thought they would have at least looked at Vrabel a little bit.
That's so good, yeah.
I thought they would have looked a little deeper, but I'm starting to think that they had a deal in hand when Belichick stepped down, that Mayo would take the job. I'm happy for Gerard Mayo. Like I said, he's a Belichick guy. The guys like him. They play hard for him. He's the Antonio Pierce type of coach. I think he'll be an Antonio Pierce type of coach in New England that Pierce was in Vegas the last 5-6 weeks. I think it's going to be a good thing. I just hope they rebuild a couple years.
Yeah, I think so too. James, what do you think?
Yeah, Derek Mayo was always going to be the guy brought in next in line, and Belichick had that in mind for that to happen. So I'm surprised by it. I think players like him, so it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I felt like it was a quick hire, very very quick hire. I think there's going to be a lot of decisions still made by Belichick, at least for right now, until he gets with another team. His son still works with the team, like an assistant coach. So I'm sure there's going to be some information relayed to Belichick before he goes to another team. And then in the college ranks, very much surprised, Nick Saban stepped down, decided to retire from his position with Alabama. That was kind of out of the blue. What's your thoughts on that, Tim?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere to me. I that's another one I broke to the group. It was I broke up it's like I break these things to the group. I broke freaking Parcells, or not Parcells, but Belichick and Carroll, and then I broke Saban, and to me it was just like Saban. At this point, it seems like the SEC were open.
Did Michigan break Alabama though?
No, Alabama.
Kinda.
As much as and me knowing so many family members, me growing up in the Michigan, Wisconsin, and that nice little corridor in the UP. I got so many Michigan fans. I think a lot of Michigan fans would think they broke Alabama, but they didn't. I think it was about time where that wave kind of broke away, and I think it was time.
James?
Yeah, can you hear me, guys?
There you go. We can hear you better.
All right, thank you. We're not in and out now.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What's your thoughts on Saban stepping down?
Oh yeah, definitely shocker. I mean, he signed an extension, I think till 28 or 29, I think it was. So I thought he was going to be there forever. I think the toll of the NIL stuff and then the player transfer portal stuff, I think all that was kind of getting to him. And then the fact that, there's going to be 12 teams next year, it's just going to feel professional to him. And then I think the task this year of like losing right away to Texas, but then making a run to the semifinals, maybe that took a toll on him. But it seemed like he was really enjoying himself more than usual. He wasn't the same, tyrant like he was before. And, it was kind of good to see that with Nick Saban. But I think the recruiting process and all that, when you do it so many years, I think eventually you get tired of it. I mean, real tired, like tired of it. Of the process every season, I guess. That's all I could think of, but I don't think we'll see him coach again. Maybe he'll do some television stuff. But, I just think he had enough with the pressures of coaching.
Yeah, but it's interesting, too, that I think he had a sit-down interview. I saw it on ESPN's YouTube page, but he had a sit-down interview, and he kind of mentioned that it wasn't about the NIL, the recruiting, this and that. I just think he said it was just more stressful this year, and that could be part of it too. But it seems like now Washington's former head coach is now going to be in Alabama or part of Alabama. So that should be an interesting hire. But it's coaching hires in college are way different than the pros. They're more of a 1 year at a time position. And that's big major storylines in the NFL as far as coaches go. Let's preview this weekend's playoff matchups, starting with I think it's the Browns and the Texans, starting off about 3:30 Central. James, what who's your pick, and what's your thoughts on today's matchup?
Man, excuse me, I'm worried kind of about the defense in the secondary, at least for Cleveland. They got some, banged up guys, and then the kicker will be out, Hopkins, and he had a pretty good year. So I think that's going to be kind of a problem for Cleveland. Houston coming in, it just feels like with CJ Stroud that, he had a pretty good performance last week. And then coming into a playoff game, you wonder how he's going to do. And, having everybody back is kind of good, though, for their offense. So that's really good. I don't know how eventually those guys, Noah Brown is banged up, but he's questionable. He's important to their offense in a way. But I think Cleveland, with their defense, is going to do it. I think Myles Garrett will probably have a good play to give the Browns the lead. I'm going to say the Browns squeak it out. I just feel like they're going to continue the momentum they've been on. Joe Flacco had a big game against Amari Cooper, or with Amari Cooper last time they played each other. And I know Stroud wasn't playing that day, so that should make the game really closer. But hopefully the Texan defense kind of learned from that and will cover Cooper this time. But eventually Flacco's going to have 2 long touchdowns. So I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland. I think they squeak it out.
Tim?
Yeah, you've got the number 1 defense in Cleveland going up against CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, you saw what CJ Stroud does in big games. With last week's game, we've got a quarterback on the other side of the field that's won a Super Bowl, so he knows how to come up big in a game. I think the defense kind of really pressures the CJ Stroud and the Texans a lot. I got lucky enough to see both of these teams this year. I don't know how lucky it is. We were 1-2 against both of them. So I think Flacco with his experience in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, I think it's going to come up big in this game. I could be absolutely wrong about CJ Stroud. But I think this game is going to be I think this game is going to be won by the defense, but I've got Cleveland.
I like to see Cleveland win this, and move on to, to the divisional round of the playoffs. I'm Cleveland as well. Although, I feel like Cleveland can do it, and it's the Deshaun Watson Bowl, drafted by Houston, but now played in Cleveland. He's on the sideline right now, but it should be a fun little storyline to follow, I guess. And then you have
Would have been better.
Yeah, it'd be better if he played. We'll just see what happens. And then in the late afternoon or evening game, you have the Dolphins and the Chiefs, projected to be the 4th coldest game in NFL playoff history. Tyreek Hill played for the Chiefs. Now he's with the Dolphins. Several storylines in that game. Here's your guys' pick. We'll go with Tim.
I think I projected this game to be the AFC Championship game, like I said backstage, but to get it in a wild card round it blows my mind. That tells you what type of collapse that the Dolphins had. They're still in the playoffs, but they didn't win the division. Kansas City kind of was floundering a little bit there late in the season. This is the one thing you kind of Tua's first playoff game. You're going up against a team that's been to the Super Bowl more times than they'd like than they can count. You're going to see what they can do. You're looking at a Miami team that's going into a cold Kansas City, like you said. The cold definitely is going to play a factor in Kansas City, especially when you're coming from South Beach, where if you look at the temperature at South Beach at kickoff at the same time as kickoff in Kansas City, it's going to be difference of about 50, 60 degrees. And it's going to be completely different. And this is where Miami's going to wish they had won the division and got the game at home. It's going to be – we're going to see what Tua can do. Again, we're talking CJ Stroud type things where you're playing in a big game because Tua's never played in a playoff game. He can lean on what Tyreek has done with the Chiefs when he was with Kansas City. I think Kansas City plays the elements well. I think Kansas City's going to play the elements a lot better than Miami because Kansas City's been practicing in this stuff, getting ready for this. Where Miami, I don't know if Miami came in early to practice in the weather because I would have. If I were the coach, I would have come in. I've got the why'd I say that? Here's the screwed up thing is I picked the frippin' Dolphins this afternoon. I picked the Dolphins, but I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to take Kansas City.
James?
Yeah, look, no, the weather is definitely a problem. And also the unavailability, that's a word for Miami's players. Xavier Howard is out. Not only all the other defensive players, Van Ginkel last week got hurt. I think someone else did it. No, Howard was the other one as well. But they've lost so many, Jalen Phillips on the defensive or the linebackers there. And then Tyreek Hill's questionable. Ramsey, Waddle, Mostert, Achan is also questionable. So they're coming in wounded. Kansas City, I think they might have a game like they did against the Bengals a couple of weeks ago when they won the AFC West. I feel like they're just going to win, but it won't be as easy. They really have to hold on to the ball. Expect Kelsey to get more catches today and put Checo to have a good running game. I think it's up to Wilkins up front for Miami to stop that. But then all those replacements for Miami, I don't know how the secondary is going to do. So I got to give the edge to Kansas City today.
Yeah, I got Kansas City too. It's going to be a very cold game. I think they said the feels like temperature was going to be -11. The high was going to be like 13 degrees. Still cold, very cold. Way too cold if I was in that area. I'd probably be like, if they got me tickets, it's like, yeah, I'll pass. Even though it's a playoff game, but I got the Chiefs in that one. I guess we can go in order of games, even though this next game is now being moved to Monday afternoon. And Sarge is saying let the Buffalo Bills game be played on a Sunday in the cold weather. But the governor of Buffalo, New York, pretty much shut down the travel. No one's traveling for the next few days in that area, which I get it for fan safety and player safety. What's your guys' thought on the Buffalo and Steelers game being moved, and who's your pick for that game? We'll go James.
Well, it's a good decision, but it also brings up the question that every new stadium should have a retractable roof. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. But I think people want to see the elements when it comes to football games. But you can just tell this. I know this has been done before in Buffalo as well. So that new stadium I saw, they're gonna have a roof over the fans, but not the field. The new renderings of it or whatever. So that's gonna be bad for the future. TJ Watt will still be out despite the time that there is with the extra day. But Mika Fitzpatrick, that's going to be interesting if he plays. I know he's trying to. And Najee Harris is questionable as well. But that extra day will help him play. I think both play. And then Gabe Davis will be out for the Bills. So they're going to have to run more with James Cook. And then you can find Diggs on some 10-yard routes, whatever. I think that's going to help. And Dawson Knox. I'm going to go with the Bills. I think Mason Rudolph will do something, but not enough. And then not having TJ Watt's really going to hurt. I think Josh Allen's going to do well. So I think Buffalo's going to win this. It won't be a blowout like last regular season's matchup, but it'll be fairly close just because of the conditions on Monday afternoon.
Tim?
Yeah, it's these again. This is a cold stadium, a cold city. You're right there off the lake. From what I was hearing, I think you said it. I think Bacon, you said it backstage in our group that it was going to be 65-mile-an-hour winds. I'm sorry, but when you've got winds going faster than speed limits in your town, I think you really need to start thinking about things. I think it's a good idea to postpone to Monday, because if this were baseball, they just postpone it until who knows when. Thank God it's the playoffs at this point. I'm not going to make this a clean sweep. I already know I'm not going to make this a clean sweep. I think this is going to be, for some reason, my gut tells me that this is going to be an upset. I think because of the elements. You got two cold weather city teams in Pittsburgh and Buffalo. They both know how to play. They should both know how to play in these weathers, so they both should be pretty well acclimated. It's the wind that's going to be the killer in this game. I think you're going to see the running game play a big part in both offenses. It's just going to see whose defensive coordinator is going to make the quick changes early and often. It's going to find out who's going to make the right equipment changes early and often in that game. I've got Pittsburgh. Like I said, I'm good for one upset, and this is kind of my upset.
Yeah, Pittsburgh kind of snuck in. They had a lot of help last week to get in the playoffs. Buffalo Bills, they've been up and down this season. They kind of needed help to get in as well. Although when they played their game, they did win the division over Miami. I think this is a game where, like you said, running the ball needs to happen more. Don't do a lot of trick plays. I don't think you need that this week. And as much as possible, if you do get a touchdown on either team, it doesn't have to be the Bills or Steelers specifically, but I think you go for 2.
Yeah.
I think this is the game where you're going to see a lot of 2-point conversions, and it's a possibility that this is going to be a low-scoring game. I'm not saying that both teams are not used to it, but they don't play in it that much anymore. The NFL kind of controls the situation, and I get it for fans, safety and player safety, but the NFL kind of controls how the environment per se, and they don't play in a lot of these cold weather games like this anymore. I'm going with for Buffalo. I feel like they're more into the cold weather, games than Pittsburgh is. So I think that's what's going to happen there. Then you have the Cowboys and the Packers. No Aaron Rodgers in this game, and no Brett Favre in this game. McCarthy used to coach for the Packers. Now he's on the Cowboys sideline. Uh, as far as this game goes, I'm going Dallas. I don't know what the total is going to be for that one, but I'm going with Dallas on this one. James, who do you got?
Well, some to look at. AJ Dillon is doubtful, so backing up Aaron Jones has been getting the ball more. So I'm wondering how he'll do against that Dallas defense. Jazair Alexander's questionable. Maybe he'll sneak in and get into the coin toss. We'll see. Also, Christian Watson, he's been questionable, but he's been out a lot of weeks. But Jordan Love, he still found Reed and others. I feel like the Dallas defense is going to be too much. I don't care who they're missing, really. But maybe the offensive line will have an issue again without Taylor Smith. I think he's the left guard. That's probably a big loss there if he's questionable coming in. Stephon Gilmore too. Look out for that. I know he's older, but he's a corner there that was in the mix of things. I think still Parsons will make a big play. I feel like Jordan Love, he's going to get his, but eventually he'll make that one mistake that'll break the game open for Dallas, and Prescott will air it out, and Pollard should run very well. I'm going to go Dallas. These two have played in a lot of great playoff games, the Ice Bowl, and then in the 90s and 2000s. 2010s, I should say. So, but I think this one will go to Dallas. They'll eventually hold on.
Tim?
So no Cooper Rush. Well, Cooper Rush is questionable. Yeah, I know that makes.
Yeah.
And I can see the look on James' face is going, why did he bring up Cooper Rush?
Illness.
No, it's just a joke.
No, you're right. You're right.
But Cooper's. I make that statement, and then for some reason, it's like it's going to come back to haunt me that you brought up Cooper Rush being out because he's sick or questionable because he's got an illness. We're looking at the youngest team in the NFL playing against Dallas, a team that's been to the playoffs. This isn't the same Green Bay Packers from last year, the year before. This is a very young team. I think we've been saying it a lot. It's another game where you got a quarterback playing in his first playoff game as a starter, and you don't know what he's going to do in a big game like this, and you've got to go up against the Dallas defense. It's kind of trial by fire at this point. I think Dallas wins this. I think this is going to be a learning experience for Love and the Packers, but I'm not going to make a lot of Packer fans happy, which is primarily 99% of my family. That's all right. The other 1% isn't going to be too happy about my other one. So it's cool. But I've got Dallas in this game too.
On the cold weather games we talked about, Sarge said, would Waddles or Waddle waddles like a penguin, so perfect weather for him. That was a tongue twister. Negative 4 degrees in his hometown. And he's also used to the cold weather. He asked the question, do you guys remember the movie Cool Runnings? The scene where the guy's hair broke off because it was so cold. I remember seeing that movie, but I don't remember that part.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Let's see. This is his upset pick for Dallas. Just run the ball like Buffalo. Even though it's in a warm and inclement weather dome. I don't know. And then Big B asked the question, can we get the 4 overtime game for the Cowboys versus Packers where it ends up both teams just call it quits? I think they play on until there's a winner. But that would be interesting for a regular season, though. I don't know. That's an interesting thought, though. And then we have the Rams and Lions game, the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff game. Pretty much both teams played for the other. Stafford originally played with Detroit. Goff played for the Rams. Now they swapped teams. Stafford won a Super Bowl for the Rams. And then you have Goff, who's trying to bring the Lions back, restoring the war with their head coach. So here's y'all's pick. We'll go with Tim.
So this is we got. I think this is the first game this playoffs where both quarterbacks have been to the Super Bowl, because Goff was with the Rams when they went to the Super Bowl.
No, that was Stafford.
Yeah, but I think it was Goff's second year.
No, I'll look on that, but I think it was 2022 when the trade happened.
Right, and Goff came in. What was it? 3 years ago? I'm watching James's fingers, so I wasn't sure. But then,
no, Jared Goff came. It was his fourth season when they made the Super Bowl, and it was one of the worst Super Bowls ever.
yeah, it was So we've got, like I said, we've got two quarterbacks that have been to the Super Bowl, and the funny thing is, like you said, we've got so many games this week where it's like a redemption game or a revenge game, because it seems like everybody's been everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Detroit, I hate. My sister's going to kill me because my sister's a Detroit fan. They've won one playoff game since the year slipped my head, but it's been a long time. I think they've one playoff game since the last time they won an NFL championship back in the 50s.
Something like that.
They're not going to win
91.
today. Yeah, I think that was the last time they had won a playoff game, and then they hadn't won a playoff game for a while.
I don't think they've hosted one in a while either.
Yeah, it's
Forever.
I'm not taking the Lions. I think the Rams. I think Stafford wants to. I think Stafford wants to stick it to the Lions in the playoffs. Because he's never been to the playoffs. I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he's ever been to the playoffs with the Lions.
Once. He lost against Dallas.
Yeah, he lost. We've
on the road.
Yeah, I don't right now remember off the top of my head, but I think Stafford wins. I think the Rams win. I think it's going to be a small surprise. By the end of the week, no NFC North teams are going to be in the NFL and in the playoffs. I've got the Rams.
James?
Man, the more this week went by, the more I felt like it was a toss-up. Before that, though, I was like, yeah, I'll give the edge to the Lions. But a lot of pressures on, both quarterbacks, but more on Goff because, he's Stafford's replacement. The Lion fans still love Matthew for all the years he was there. Man, the one thing I'm really worried about, Samuel Laporta being questionable, but probably out. I'm worried about that for Detroit because all they have would be the running game and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But hopefully Jameson Williams can be good for them and make the surprise appearance there and make some plays happen. LA, though, man. I want to see Aaron Donald get after Jared Goff and make him real uncomfortable. I know in probably the past, those two have faced off in practice with LA, and you couldn't touch the quarterback at all. But I know that he wants to get at him. the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, what, the Rams, nobody thought they would be here. Nobody thought they would be 10-7. They have somewhat the more experienced players, at least with quarterback and the defensive line there. I think I've been convinced. I'm going to go LA. I feel like they're going to get in there, make some things happen. They have a good defense to stop the run as well. A lot of pressure. It feels like all the pressure is on Detroit because of the playoff, the years without wins, I guess. The years without doing anything much, and the first time hosting a playoff game in 30 years and winning the division for the first time in 30 years. I'm going to go LA.
So you're picking all the success for Detroit, but you're going LA.
I'm like, no, I feel like Detroit's just, they're either going to get so tense and so nervous about it. LA's just rolling in and doing whatever. I just feel like they have more poise, I would think, than Detroit. And also, if Dan Campbell's going to gamble and not come up big, then that's going to hurt him as well.
Yeah, I'm going Detroit. I feel like this is going to be a big game for Detroit. They've been waiting for this for a long time. First NFC North division champions. Last time they were division champions, it was the NFC Central. Before Houston, I believe, became a team. But that crowd's going to be so loud, but it's going to kind of have to be a problem for Detroit because they're going to have to use silent count. But the Rams would too, so it just depends on how both teams utilize the silent count. I think Detroit kind of has an advantage, though. That's why I'm picking them. And then on Monday night, you have the Eagles taking on Tampa Bay in Florida. Eagles narrowly squeaked by. Tampa Bay won their division. Who you guys pick? We're going to go James.
Man, Philadelphia has really fallen. It almost feels like a Dolphins situation, but it feels worse because they're less banged up. It's more about their play than it is injuries. I found out this morning AJ Brown will be out, and he already, did the whole thing Kyler Murray did, where he unfollowed social media. All the Eagles stuff and all of that. It's just the worst timing to be a diva in a way like that. Jalen Hurts isn't going downfield with the ball. Their running isn't going as well as they used to. Jalen Carter, rookies, their best defensive player. He can only do so much. The secondary is getting beat. I don't know the conditions, but I know there was a chance of rain. But the running game's kind of back for Tampa Bay. And then Baker Mayfield, if he doesn't try to do too much and just throw to Godwin and Evans, he should be fine. So I'm going to go with... Damn it. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I just feel like they're playing... Yeah. I feel like they're just playing better than Philadelphia. And just Philadelphia, it just feels like they're coming up with some excuses. Miami has injuries, but Philadelphia has so many damn excuses. And I don't know what you guys feel like, but with the coaches, Todd Bowles won the division. So do you think he's safe if they lose this game? And then if Philadelphia loses, do you think Sirianni would lose his job? Do you think that'd be too soon? They just made the Super Bowl last year. That's why I'm wondering about this game. Like the coaches after this game, whoever loses, do you think they will get fired?
I think Philadelphia could drop their coach. Don't know about Tampa Bay, but Tim, what's your thoughts on it, and who's your pick?
I think I think I think Sirianni's not going to be on the hot seat. I think Todd Bowles, by winning the NFC South, I think his job is safe for one more year. Um, I didn't think I just read that Baker Mayfield's dealing with an ankle. So I
I
don't
know he
think
was
he's gonna
dealing with
be-
ribs.
what's that?
I think he was dealing with ribs last week.
Yeah. And it's like I don't think he's going to be taking too much chances. I think now is not the time to take the chances. You've got Philadelphia, who's lost 5 of their last 6. It's crazy. You lose to the Giants. Of all teams, you lose to the Giants.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the only one that should. To be honest, you're the only one that needs to be happy about that one.
That's
I
probably
just don't know what has changed in the mindset with the Eagles. I don't, you know, you're 10-1 going into those last 6 games, and then you decide to derf 5 out of your last 6. You lose to the Giants 2 weeks before you beat the Giants. That's the only win you've had in the last 6 games. I don't get it. You know, Tristan Wirfs, who's questionable because he's sick. Other than that, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are healthier than the Eagles at this point. I don't know what the deal is with the Eagles. I just don't. It's almost like it's like the Dolphin situation. It's just like James said, it's like the Dolphin situation, but just a little more different because like we've been saying that we're talking about a team that was in the Super Bowl last year, and we're talking about a team that has lost 5 of 6. I think it's going to be 6 of 7. I've got the Buccaneers too.
Yeah, I got Tampa Bay as well. I feel like when they won 10 games before that loss, I feel like Philadelphia got complacent. I feel like they got too confident. They thought they couldn't be beat. They finally got beat, and then it just started a snowball effect of losing. And then you had dysfunction within the locker room, players, having doubt with their coach and their teammates on the field. So I kind of feel like it was not really it was more of a confidence issue that they had, that they said on the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Monday. As far as Baker Mayfield goes, I bet he's glad that it's a Monday game. He has time to heal up, test that ankle out when he's practicing. I'm sure he's going to play. I don't have too much doubt in that. So I'm going Tampa Bay. And that was our game picks for the playoffs in Super Wildcard weekend. Mother Nature's bringing us the cold shoulder, seems like, but I think everybody will be fine. Tim, do you have any Prime 5 lists for today, or
I do not.
okay? That's okay. Not much really going on around the NFL. Seems like Jim Harbaugh, I should say, is going to interview for the Chargers position this week, which is an interesting hire if they do choose to go that route. Where do you think Harbaugh is going to go?
Was that question to me? I wasn't sure. I didn't. You kind of chopped.
Where do you think Harbaugh will land?
I think Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh will.
I think Harbaugh is gonna. I don't know. I'd like to see him land in Washington. I don't know why, but I have this feeling that Bieniemy is probably going to go to either Atlanta or Washington. I'd like him to go to Washington, but I don't. Maybe Harbaugh goes to San Diego. Golly, send him back to San Diego, so at least I can remember who they are. I think the Chargers organization, they already know the Harbaugh family with John being there back in the day. I think Jim would like to go there. I think it would be because you got familiarity with the family. I think a lot of Los Angeles Chargers fans. I'm going to say Chargers fans because I don't want to say San Diego or Los Angeles. I think they'd be over the moon to get the national championship coach. Then again, I think I don't know if I'm trying to figure out if he's waiting to see what if there's going to be any NCAA sanctions after this season. I don't know. He could go to the Chargers. Yeah, that's my idea.
James?
I feel like Harbaugh's going to stay at Michigan, and then Bieniemy will get promoted within at Washington. I think he's deserved a head coaching job for a while, and they need someone to revitalize the offense, possibly trade up to get Caleb Williams or another impact quarterback, maybe Jalen Daniels. But yeah, I see Harbaugh stay at Michigan. I remember his last interview last year with Minnesota, or a couple years ago, I should say, didn't go so well. He should just stay home, honestly. I know I think he was slated to interview with the Raiders as well, but I think AP should get that job. I heard today Max Crosby would ask for a trade if the Raiders do not retain Antonio Pierce. So there's extra pressure on Mark Davis.
Oh, wow.
And what would be great if Harbaugh did go to the NFL this year, if he just turned things around and all of a sudden he went to Seattle just to get back at San Francisco, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. I think he goes to LA. But he could stay at Michigan, so I'm thinking either of those places. Sarge's other upset pick is Tampa Bay over Philadelphia. Not sure if it's really an upset, but something's wrong with Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And anything Brown is down and out. I believe A.J. Brown for the Eagles. And who's your pick for the Panthers coaching position, James?
It's a mess right now.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, I know they wanted him last year, but he wouldn't go there. And then I don't think he wants to this year. Just that I know the money will be offered greatly, but then I don't think you want to answer to someone like David Tapper, the owner there, who will question you right after the loss of a game and will fire you pretty much at any time. So it have to be someone really young and inexpensive, I think. I honestly don't know right now. I think it'd just be someone young and an offensive mind that'll try to work with Bryce Young. But it almost feels like they should have just kept Steve Wilkes a couple years, or was it last year? Yeah. They should have just kept him throughout this, and I think everything would have been fine from there. But I don't think Ben Johnson. I know that they were trying to hide. They were going to interview some other guys. I think a Raven offense coordinator or defensive coordinator. So probably go with one of those more than Ben Johnson.
Tim?
I'm going to bring up a name that I've heard a couple times for some reason. I've got a couple. I've got one. I've heard that Joe Bob Cooter for some reason, the OC in Indy. But I think I'm going to bring up a name that I've heard. Like I said, I've heard a couple times, but
Steve Smith.
and the fact is, James brought up a good point. The fact is, you go with a young OC, a young coordinator. I'm gonna, and he's probably going to be out of a job if Harbaugh does go to the Chargers, and I think Carolina should hire Kellen Moore, or not Kellen Moore, yeah, Kellen Moore.
Ooh. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. I don't know about Kellen Moore. I mean, I know he's in Dallas. I know that much. But as far as like his ability to lead a team, I don't know. I know he was quarterback for Dallas. Now he was a coordinator for Dallas, and then was sent over to LA to help out the Chargers. I don't know if he can lead a team. That's going to be the big question mark. That's why I'm kind of iffy. You could bring in a former Panther and Steve Smith if he wants to leave his media position with the NFL Network. But it's going to be an interesting hire with whoever they pick.
Right.
Anything else you guys want to bring up? Any late breaking news or?
No, I'm still waiting to hear on news on who's going to be in and out for this afternoon's game. Well, this afternoon for you guys, it's 9:00 here.
It should be in just a minute or two.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything else. What about you, James?
There's nothing lately.
Yeah. So I guess we can give our final thoughts, and if the news, we'll break into that. But final thoughts, Tim?
Final thoughts, Tim, because this is final thoughts, James. See ya. Have a nice one.
I'm sure he'll come back. But
I'm excited. We're here. Oh, golly, like I said earlier, you and I started this season off in April at the draft, and here we are, you and I, looking at January and week one of the playoffs. I didn't think the prime bacon show at this point. With the way we started the season.
Yeah,
it's gone by so bloody fast. I'm excited. I'm excited to see if I've wrecked anybody's playoff hopes and dreams and aspirations. I shared this on my page and said, "Come watch us in an early playoff edition. See me destroy your playoff hopes." Here we are. Other than that, keep watching. We've got great shows. If you notice in the beginning, we've got this brand new, fancy $30 million C2C programming title screen. We're trying to put ourselves up there along the lines of ESPN and Marvel Studios at this point. It's beautifully done. We've got a lot. Just keep watching. You guys got entertainment?
Yeah.
You got entertainment hour tonight?
We had it yesterday. Usually on Fridays. It was me and Dragon Viper this week. James had to step away for a little bit. Check it out. I think we're gonna replay this tomorrow. So if you missed it, don't worry. It'll be back on the air. And then just stay with Coast to Coast. We're making a lot of good updates to the programming lineup and the streams as well. So just stay tuned, and hope you guys enjoy your playoff football. And we'll be back next week for another morning tailgate. Have a great week.